Hello guys! Today we will talk about the option selector as an extension for my universal mob grinder control panel. Each of these control panels have 4 states and the buttons represent them. The first state is the record farm, which allow me to send the following mobs to the record farm. The fourth state is the nether portal that will send them to the nether, where I can accumulate them without overriding the cap. The third state will open the hatch in the back and send them to the laboratory down below this floor, where I can do various things with them, fight them or something else. And the fourth state is the auto-looting mode that will disable the water flow, close all hatches, and the mobs that will be falling there will die from the falling damage, and their loot will be picked up by the hopper and transferred to this chest. To achieve that, I used a trick, and let's talk about my version of the option selector. The old mob processors that I'm using in my universal mob grinder have just 2 states that will let me send the mobs to the left or to the right, but this one will have the third direction and the auto-looting mode. The auto-looting mode is a very cool feature to the mob grinder because I can walk away or AFK and stay in this place while the mob grinder will collect loot for me from the one type of the mobs. And to achieve this, I decided to use the special type of the zombies that can pick up items. They don't despawn if they pick up items, and I even made a project of the system that will send this type of zombie to each of the mob processors. But in the second week snapshot, Dinner Bone introduced the hoppers that will make the things much easier, so I don't need to fill my head with the zombies. But still, I need to switch somehow this mob processor from one state to another, and the first thing I came up with is the demultiplexer. That is the technical name of this thing. Well, the only thing this system does is it reads these 2 inputs and spread them up to each of the AND gate and decide which lamp to turn on. I could use it in my universal mob grinder if I build it for myself, because I can remember all the states. So you can see if the first torch is off, I can switch between the third and fourth option, and if it's on, I can switch between the first and second option. But it's a bit hard, and it's not so fancy as using buttons for this, and buttons are making things much harder, because when I have the ladder, they're acting as a memory cell, so I don't need to remember the state. But when I'm using button, I need to use some type of the memory cell. The 2 known types are the flip-flop that use the piston and the RS NOR latches. So this is the most common option selector, as you may have seen somewhere else. I don't know who's author of this, but everyone uses this, and it's the most common design. But what I don't like with it is that it's a bit hard to pick this signal of the currently turned option, and it is loud because it uses pistons, so I decided to put some effort and figured how to make it flush in the floor, so I can sink this button down and make a cool control panel that will be in circle shape that will be situated in the floor. So I started to messing around with some designs. This is the first attempt. It will just replace the piston flops with the RS NOR latches, the vertical latches, and each of these buttons will send the signal to this bus that will reset all the latches, and then with the delay it will turn on the lamp and change the state of the latch that we need. But it's a bit bulky, so I need somehow make it a bit more compact. And I thought about it, and there were some designs, but all I could find is the wheel or stuff's video. I will put the link in the description, but it's very high and the input there is not in the place where I need it. So I decided to mess around more and use the new features of the Redstone update. But this is the fail, I don't know why it's not working, and this is the prototype that I had. This thing uses the ability of the comparators to compare the signal strength. So when I put the signal to this redstone ore, the comparator will take bigger signal from this block than this comparator from this block, and by comparing this signal with the absolute with the absolute state of the redstone of how much is this, 15, 14, and this is the 13 signal strength with the signal from this button. And that's why this hopper will turn this air snore latch on, because this comparator will figure out that this signal strength is more than this, so that's why we need to turn on this latch. And it won't do this for the other because the signal strength is so poor, so these repeaters will not turn on. And first I need to reset all the latches, because if I won't reset them it will just add an option, but I need to select options, and that is why I'm using a bus here. But because I'm using the single bus to send the signal to the option, I may use it to reset the options as well, so I don't need to hook up the second wire that will come through all these RSNOR latches. And this is the attempt of minimizing it. I made it a bit more compact, and basically it works the same way, except that it uses the horizontal RSNOR latch. So the vertical RSNOR latches are a bit high, and I need a more compact version to place it below the floor, and also I can get rid of this piece of the redstone because I need to send to the comparator somehow signal from the side, and that's why I decided to use this hole, this space, and fill it up with the redstone to make it more compact. And that it is. Under these redstone blocks there is a standard horizontal RSNOR latch for each of the state, and it works the same way as that latches, but it resets them with this wire that will send the signals to these blocks through these torches, and it will reset the RSNOR latches from that. Torches will be all unpowered. Let's see. So now the only fourth torch is turned on, because the first thing this does is it resets all the RSNOR latches, and then it sends the signal to the comparator, and because the signal can't pass through other comparators, only the first RSNOR latch changes its state, and the same thing is happened for all the other latches. So the only problem is that it is not one wide, and I used a bit tricky hook to make it in one panel, but gladly I need just 4 buttons, so it won't take much space. And that is what we have in the end. This option selector, it's very silent, just button, and I can't hear the pistons from here, and if I will stay in the control panel, the pistons will be closer, but they will be not so loud as if it will be right beside the buttons. So I can comfortably change the states and it will work perfectly. And this is how it looks in the real place. You can see that it's hooked up to all these pistons, and it takes the signals from these blocks right here that are the first button will activate this redstone and send the signals to these repeaters and this torch that will output the full strength of the signal, and the same thing as I used there. And so that way I can create a silent option selector that is to take the signal from the top block, and everything will be beneath the floor, so I can stay in this place and trigger anything I want without watching any redstone wire and seeing all the mobs doing their job. So that's about it. Thanks for watching.